Hi everyone. I'm going to go through the expectations and some important notes for your research project for this week. And this applies to biology and chemistry classes. So now, just to have a clear understanding of the purpose and what I'm looking for this semester project, the ultimate goal is to assess your understanding of the scientific method and your ability to apply the scientific method to a small scale and original project. Yeah, so you all understand what the scientific method is and what we're going to do. We've been doing for the past several months is you come up with an original project and you carry it out. But what are the two things that the two main purposes of the semester project is to show that you understand the method clearly, and also to show that you are able to apply it to a project. So what I'm looking for a correct application of scientific method, right? Whether you have right concepts, the process, you apply the process, um, the originality of your project. So, is there anything new in your project, or you just simply copy and paste from the online, uh, you know, resource? What I'm asking is, the research questions have to come from your own group's interest. So if you have this research question, you have the science questions, and you really want to investigate, then that is something that I'm looking for. That's originality. Okay. If you go online and you search for something, your idea, idea for science fair project or something like that, that's not really a, um, you know, I would argue that okay, so that would be okay for the start, but I would strongly encourage something coming out from your own interest, your own curiosity. Now, the next thing is the real data and data analysis. Okay, so uh, you have to you have to come up with an experimental plan and carry out your data collections, and then you have to do the data analysis. Yeah. Um, because of the COVID situation, if you think that you have any issue with your experiment, please let me know. Okay, so that we can have some appropriate accommodation for that. But for example, we have several groups that do planting plants, you know, in the garden of the homes. So that's something possible, and I would strongly encourage you to continue working on that. All right, but I believe that we have a couple of projects that involve researching with the human subject. So you need to have the final approval from us, and also, we have to assess the safety plan for you to conduct your research. In case that we think that it's not suitable for you or it's not appropriate for you to continue working on your research, then we'll, we'll discuss with you on how to proceed next. Okay, so maybe we'll try to be flexible here, um, especially in this particular time. And then also the last thing is the fair collaboration and teamwork. All right, so this is the group project, but I noticed that some people carry out more work than others, and that's not fair. Okay, and this will reflect on your grade, your final grade. I do keep track on your contribution to the project, and you know, so it doesn't mean that you just put the work to one or two people in the group, and just write something at the end for the lab report. No, all right. We want your involvement from the beginning to the end of the project. Okay, you have to take your ownership of the project, and so I emphasize the fair collaboration and teamwork here. And so this is important. Okay, so make sure that you collaborate, communicate with your friends in your groups, and contribute as much as possible. And also, you should have a documentation system within your team so that you can document uh, each other's contribution clearly. Now, what would be the outputs for this project? So, the first round would be the presentation, oral presentations and defense, and we've been doing that for past several months actually. But then the final oral presentation and defense would be your group, presenting your final data and take in questions from the audience. And this time would be the faculty expert as well. Okay, and your performance, all right, performance here, your ability to answer the questions from the audience and also in a logical manner would determine your grade, your group grade. Okay, and a second output would be a written report, collaboratively produced by everyone in your team. And I will set out a format of this report later. But I just want to make sure that we will have a credit section for both the oral presentation and the report, so that you document clearly at the end each of your team members' contribution to the work, particular work, and also for the project. Okay, so by the end of this week, you should have the following items. Now, pretty much a revision of your group presentation. Okay, so uh, there are several items here that I want you to pay attention to. First is whether you have a clear and focused research question. All right. Now, the second one is most of you don't have this, and this is something that we really have to work on more. A substantial background information. Okay, so background information means you read as much as possible about the information related to your research question, your question. Okay, this can be starting from the textbook, online resource, but you have to make sure that you choose the credible sources on the internet, because uh, there there are a lot of fake news websites that publish not reliable, unreliable information there. So go with academic ones that I show you before. So you have to have at least five credible sources on the topic. And at this level, you start out with your textbook. Okay, go to the library, personal library, or the online. I'll send out several links. Like if you need any help with locating relevant sources uh, for your project, please let me know as well so that I can help you with that. But then the substantial background information provides you a clear, understanding of how much we know about a topic of being investigated. And what happened is that then you will decide the gap in information, right? What's the missing information? What's the missing piece in the picture, in the puzzle that you need to address? And whether, like you have a question, a science question, but then maybe, and most of the time, uh, it's already been answered, okay? And by doing a comprehensive literature review, in this case, researching for the background information, most of the time, maybe your question has already been answered, okay? So that's a very important. So I just want to emphasize that this part B here, is really, really important. Now, if you don't do this carefully, then your project may risk being irrelevant. Okay, because maybe you try to answer a question that already have the answer, have a very strong scientific support for it. Now, another one that we want to, uh, so people may ask like, what about, so what if my question's already been answered? All right, so what's my role here? Like what I'm going to do. Well, think about that way. Not all understandings, or not all questions are have been answered thoroughly. Okay, so on the big picture, yeah, we may have the shape. All right, we could see the picture or the shape of the sculpture or whatever. But then in details, okay, so in more details, we don't know how it works, or the mechanisms, or the specific components that that contribute to the mechanism of the phenomenon. So you may want to get into a more detailed question for that particular case. All right, and also you may a part of science is the reproducibility. All right, so if a scientific knowledge is well received, okay, well understood and received, right? Now, another part would be for you to test, repeat the experiment and try to see whether the observations, your observations support our already uh, known information, or confirmed knowledge on this topic. Okay. C is a clearly formulated hypothesis. Okay, so very important here. Okay, you should pick, and in your project you should only try to address one hypothesis. Okay, try to answer one hypothesis. Now, next is a revised experimental plan. Okay, now this is very important, guys, and please pay attention to the comments that I gave on your presentation, because the experimental plan, you need to include uh, variables, appropriate variables, number of trials, controls, everything. So everything in detail. You need to give me the detailed plan. And for some of you, um, please include the survey questions. All right. And I believe that 2 or 3 groups this semester are doing the survey. So make sure that you send us a survey. So include the survey into your report. And the next thing is the data collection. So again, I expect everyone to have at least 2 or 3 rounds of data already, and you should be doing the data analysis. So data collections and the data analysis. Okay, so sorry about this. It's a typo here. Data collection and data analysis in details. All right. So what's the next step? Now, next week we will do a peer evaluation. Uh, so once the presentations are being uploaded on Canvas, we'll do the peer evaluation. Feedback. I'll create a form and give you the form for that, and then I'll give you my feedback, individual feedback for each group, and then you come with a revision. Okay. So I hope that this video brings you more focus on the project, and I look forward to reviewing your revisions. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.